Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Cantina MX Football Podcast, episode 322. We got some match week 4 results that were pretty upsetting. We had Rayados already crash out of the Club World Cup. Some musical chairs already in Liga MX with the coaching carousel. And JJ Mack is back, ladies and gentlemen. But before we go any further, like me welcome my boy Joel. Joel, how we doing?
What is up, Jaime? I am actually glad to have JJ Mack return to the GOATs. I think it took longer than it should have. I'm guessing he didn't, he was trying to find perhaps another club abroad, but with no guarantees, you can't be wasting another year, half a year. So I think he did the right thing.
Yeah, I think it was such a tough decision, especially when they're only giving him a measly $1.7 million. Pobrecito. He returns to Guadalajara.
Yeah, I mean that's the sacrifice, that players when they go abroad, that's one of the main sacrifices, their wages, because a lot of these clubs they pay pretty, they're pretty measly when it comes to paying, and we don't really hear about it a lot, but there's a huge number of players that have gone on loan and then they just get discarded because again they're just on loan. And there's a lot of players like that. A lot of them end up coming to Liga MX, and similar to JJ Mack, it's not because they weren't good, it's just it can just be random.
Yeah, well, if we look at his trajectory, I mean, again, we criticize him on the podcast time and time again. He decided to skip the Olympics in pursuit of his dream of going to abroad, going to Getafe. He said he'd rather, have a preseason and do all that process with Getafe than to play for the national team in the Olympics. And yeah, he chose the wrong gamble. Unfortunately, he got injured when he was out there. That's why he didn't play much. And after half a season there, they were already looking to get rid of him. And I believe, Chivas were sitting on 2 offers, but there's no better offer than getting your number 9 back, especially with the team struggling with goals and a striker. So, I mean, it made sense for him to come back, and his Instagram post was quite humbling. It seemed like he comes back with his tail between his legs, but also understanding that he shouldn't have looked at Chivas as a stepping stone. I think he failed to solidify himself with the team before going, and now he has the opportunity to come back and see if he can fit back into the squad. He's already ruled out for tomorrow's match against Juarez and the Saturday game against Tigres, so we won't see him this weekend. But I mean, it's basically like an adrenaline shot, man, because if he gets on flying start and he starts scoring goals, not only is that going to be good for us, but I mean potentially he could squeeze into the World Cup. I'm being serious, man.
No, yeah, he definitely has, and he's been called up before, so it's not like he's not on the radar. And I agree with the whole stepping stone, but I think a big part of it was just because of how the club has handled players before, where I think there's not much trust that they're gonna be on your side.
Yeah. So Guadalajara were actually the only team that didn't play this weekend because it was apparently too cold. and they had to reschedule the match. So they're actually going to play their game tomorrow at 5 o'clock in La Ciudad Juarez. You know, Chivas actually offered to play the game at Guadalajara, but Juarez said no. So is this a money driven decision because they know that Chivas, fill up those seats and get those ticket sales in? I personally don't think that game was gonna be too cold. I mean, Chivas have played in Toronto and in pretty cold weather for the CONCACAF Champions League. So, and we just saw the men's national team play a qualifying match over there in Minnesota against Honduras. So, I mean, I personally thought they should have went on with the match. I mean, these guys are professionals; they're used to playing in the elements. But I guess this was like more of a money driven decision because they knew fans wouldn't show up to the game.
Well, I mean, not if because the game was going to be in Juarez, right?
Yeah,
Yeah. So I mean, if Chivas is the ones that called the petition, to have the game postponed, uh, then I
I don't
wouldn't
think it was
think.
Chivas, man.
Oh, you think it was Juarez that postponed it?
Yeah,
Well, I mean,
I think so.
home field advantage and all of that. I guess if he felt if then that's Stuka right there as coach, if he felt conditions weren't right, I really can't blame him. But I think Chivas draws regardless.
Yeah, I mean, I saw a few matches this weekend, and it was pouring rain, and the fans weren't even wearing shirts. So I know snow's a little bit different, but um, I think it was just so like I absolutely love like seeing games in the snow. I just find them attractive and exciting to watch, and never in my mind would I ever thought I'd see a game in Mexico in the snow. You know, usually that's like reserved for like England and Bundesliga and stuff like that.
With the
So
orange soccer ball.
I was looking forward to seeing that, and for some reason they just didn't want to go through with it. And I'll be honest, the pitches out in Mexico are not, you know what I mean? Like they're not like top class pitches. Like when it rains, usually there's like huge puddles and stuff. So they just don't have like the drainage. I don't know if like for the snow they just were not expecting it or they weren't ready for it. But whatever the case may be, a missed opportunity there.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, well, missed opportunity to play in the snow.
Yeah, I think it would have been cool. But moving on, since Chivas didn't play this weekend, we have a lot more stuff that that's been going on around the league. Starting with Necaxa, they were actually the first team to play Jornada Cuatro, and they ended up losing to Pachuca. And check this out: Pachuca was down a man for since the 21st minute, and they just went in and just took over the match despite being a man down. They beat Necaxa 3-1, and we have our first coach that has been fired. It only took 4 matches, and Necaxa has already replaced their coach with Jimmy Lozano. What are your thoughts on that?
It's gonna be interesting to see how well he does. I know he was getting a lot of um, people wanted him for Chivas. They wanted him for the selección because of what he did in the Olympics with the helping the team win the bronze. So it's going to be interesting to see what he does at Necaxa and what he shows. In the past when we have had coaches that were successful at the youth level, a lot of them just it didn't translate back with the team. So I hope that's not the case.
Yeah,
but
yeah, with Jimmy
well,
Lozano. Oh, go ahead.
no, just really quick, and it's good to have another Mexican coach because there's almost none. So it's, it's good to have another one in the mix. It's good to, of course, I always root for these coaches to do well.
Yeah, there was a lot of hype on Jimmy Lozano after his Olympic run with Mexico, and they're already ready to put him in the national team spot, and obviously Chivas because we were looking for a coach at the time. And I
And
was
because the players that were with him.
yeah, he knew how to utilize Antuna. He knew how to utilize Vega. He knew how to use our players better than Vucetic. And Vucetic. I remember they asked him at a press conference, like, "Oh, did you take any advice from Jimmy?" Like, bitch, I'm the one that like taught Jimmy everything he knows at Querétaro. So I don't know why I would ask him for advice. And
Yeah, well, and that was my argument too was that one thing is playing against youth teams and another against experienced players. So for me, it's a club has always been more difficult than any youth tournament.
yeah, and it just baffles me that people are already ready to give someone that does not deserve it like the job. Like, no, this is disrespectful to anyone that's doing it right now. It's like this guy has no experience. He did have a season at Querétaro in 2017, and that's been about it. So we'll see how it goes for
Yeah,
him and Necaxa. It's quite a tall order, man. I mean, Necaxa, they're not the best team. They don't have the best players. And 50% ownership is from Americans and celebrities. So they're really expecting things to turn around. They got 3 points in 4 matches, and surprisingly, they're in 14th position with those kind of points. So
yeah. Well, let's see what Jimmy has in store for us. And I hope he gets the chance to prove himself, not just gets booted midway through the season. You know, sometimes it takes a while. Um, I don't think Necaxa's in that much of a hurry. And it's not like they have a championship caliber team. So I think they just don't want to be as bad as they were.
yeah,
But
they did pick up Nico Castillo, from America, so they do have quite a big name there. They also have the guy that we kicked out of Chivas, De Tiervi Alpando. So they have
well,
they have a few players.
oh, I was trying to let me see because I had we have this one guy right here that is right now he's on the he's he's in the he's in the spotlight, and that's Puebla's coach.
Oh yeah.
Uh, Very young guy too. He's like 37, I think, maybe younger. But he's head of Puebla, and his name's Nicolas Larcamon. And there's already people calling him for the national team. And I think it's a bit premature.
Hmm.
I think he came last season, if I'm not mistaken. But some of his numbers, 18 games. So I'm guessing these are from last season. 9 wins, 6 draws, and 3 defeats. And he's won a good chunk of them on the road. And this guy is just calling attention. And
Nicolas Larcamon.
yes, sir.
Hmm.
Yeah, people and certain parts of the media are already, because how the team plays, that they win on the road, and some of them are pushing him for like, like if Tata gets booted, this guy should get a look, which I don't think would happen, just simply because we've said it before how FMF operates. Um, I do think he would have to win the league. So he's 37 right now, fairly young. He started at 31, but I wanted to like point something out um, because I see this, I would say, maybe hypocrisy in the league. So for the Mex coaches starting out, I think the fans are, even the media can be pretty harsh. And then even sometimes when they do good, they'll still be more critical, um, because this guy is getting high praise. But we see how he started. So he started 2016, 2017 in Deportivo Anzoategui, which is a Venezuelan club. So, I mean, this is in Argentina, you're in South America. To go from Argentina to Venezuela, that's like, a Mexican coach going from Liga MX to like El Salvador.
Yeah,
And we know if that happened, all the criticisms will come in, that he's going backwards and whatnot. This guy started there and he coached, let me see, he coached, I believe, two teams.
he coached. No, the other teams in Chile, Deportivo Antofagasta. They're in
Oh, they're Chilean.
they're in Chile. They're in
Oh,
Chile.
yeah, you're right. Chile, and then he went to
Huachu,
Huachipato.
Huachipato, also Chilean.
That also. And then
They got their badge is like the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Currico, I can't even say this name, Currico Unido,
Corico Unido.
which, which is, they're Chilean. Where are they from, man? I never heard
Chile.
of this team. Three Chilean teams. So, I mean, he did improve as far as going from Venezuela to Chile, but even at Chile, he wasn't exactly coaching their top teams. But he had a good run in each of his team, so he's
He
shown
did.
consistency. And then he arrives to Puebla, and he's having just a great, he's just been doing really good. Um, he's gotten more praise even than Liliani, because when Liliani took over Pumas, right? It was the talk was that Pumas was just getting lucky. That was the whole, that wasn't the real Pumas, and that, and they end up going all the way to the final. And then the next season, they kind of dismantle the team. Pumas does horrible, and then people were like, "See, we told you." But then after that, they bounced back, and they've been pretty decent, provided
Yeah. I've been looking at his
they.
numbers at Puebla. He has 45 matches, 20 wins, 14 draws, 11 losses, averaging 1.64 points per game. And if you don't remember, he did beat us in repechaje. Then he goes to
Oh, that was him.
yeah, he goes and they lose to Leon in the quarterfinals, and then um they also went to the semifinals earlier in 2021, and they ended up losing to
Yeah,
Santos. So I mean, he's getting them into Liguilla. He's getting them. I mean, right now they're in first place. So it's this is amazing, and this is after Puebla losing their top goal scorer Ormeño. So I mean,
that's right.
this is crazy, man. This is
Who's now a Peruvian international?
I'm gonna start calling him the alchemist, dude. This guy's making
Yeah,
goal. Yeah.
but let's not forget he had to go. He had to go to the small leagues and to the small teams, to get a chance and to find work until he made it to Liga MX. Um, and so I think when we see our coaches doing that, we see that we're very critical, you know, and we'll just like not be that supportive. And so I think that's a lot of times what you have to do as this dude is showing, because instead of hanging around in Argentina trying to see where he could land the team or just being a assistant or whatnot, he went to he went where he could find work. That's why I'm very hopeful for coaches like Gonzo, who's in MLS. Um, isn't
Which
isn't there?
um we have to talk about that in a second, but yeah, go ahead.
Well, yeah, coaches like him, and then there's others that've gone to like Guatemala. I know Cardoso. I'm counting him as Mexican because he's been in Mexico for so long. But I mean, I know there's other Mexican coaches, Mexican nationals, also in Guate, and of course, um, Stena, right? Stena took over Guatemala national team, and I know there was a lot of like criticism on that, but I'm like, he could potentially lead them to the World Cup because obviously not this one, but next World Cup, the region is still getting three spots, and the three biggest teams
Already in.
are they're not going to be, yeah, they're in, they're the host, and they're not going to be part of the qualifiers. So that's a great opportunity, and for him to do that, it'll be historic because that'll be the first time that team, you know, makes it to the World Cup, and I think if they let him work, he obviously has the experience, and you know, I think he can do it. It's just some of these Central American uh, federations, they're like Mexico in the 90s, where
Yeah.
they were quick to sack the coach or very impatient. Uh, I know there's a lot of infighting. It's just too much. I remember Honduras sacked. They had Bora Milutinovic, and I'm like, if you want a coach that knows this region like the back of his hand, because he's coached, you know, all these teams from the region and been at the World Cup, that pretty much knows World Cup qualifying, like the back of his hand. That would be the guy, and they sacked him, and because the Federativos couldn't, they just were beefing it, and eventually he left, and but that's that's big reason why we see a lot of these teams from Central America not doing as good as they should. Instead, you had the Caribbean teams outperforming them. Just given just how much more into football the countries were in the Central American countries, and instead of that, you end up seeing like Trinidad, Tobago, Jamaica, and whatnot surpassing them when these guys had been at it longer. So I do hope the best for Tena, man. I know I kind of went off topic there.
No, it's fine. Um, yeah, we'll see what happens with Dena and his tenure there. I hope he makes it the 4-year cycle. But I do agree that CONCACAF World Cup qualifiers are going to open wide up for the next World Cup, especially because I think that's the one that's going to be expanded to 48 teams. So very
Yes,
curious to see how many CONCACAF slots there will be. But I mean, this could be a big opportunity for teams like El Salvador and Guatemala, maybe even like Nicaragua or something. I mean, who knows, man? No idea what can happen in the next cycle.
well, well, you have like the other teams that are pretty strong still. Honduras and Costa Rica, and if they play their cards right, they could be at the forefront. But behind me, I think we're we're straying far off from the
Yeah,
Liga MX,
it's fine.
But like just long story short, that's what I feel a lot of Mexican coaches should be doing. Same as the Argentines, because Argentines don't just stay in Argentina to see when they're gonna get a shot. They will coach any league, any team in like South America, even go all the way to Central America. As long as you get to coach and you get that experience. And I think a lot of times in Mex, what we saw was some of these coaches that would just wait for their phone to ring or just coach maybe some second division team, and then if they didn't get any other offers, just I don't know, dude. I don't know, they would just sort of disappear. You know, Tiburon is comes to mind. Tiburon Sanchez. He he
Yeah.
was
What's he up to nowadays?
I don't even know, but see, he took over this team that was Higuera's team. I keep forgetting the name, man.
Venados. No.
No, there was the other one. They had a
Oh,
guy with a little
Coras.
hat.
Coras de
Was it Coras?
Nayarit.
We had like some dude with like
Yeah.
a sombrero type.
Yeah. Nayarit. Yep.
He took over that squad, and he took him all the way to the final, and they lost to Necaxa in penalties.
Wow.
And but I mean, he was doing good, and for his first run, and this is messed up. Higuera sacks him because he was offered Mauro Camoranesi. A
Oh.
promoter came and said, "Look, I got this Argentine, Italian, Italo-Argentine um, World Cup champion, you know, Juventus, alumni, and he went with it, and that dude only stayed like half a season. He ended up leaving, but
Hmm.
Tiburon got sacked over that, which was messed up. Tiburon said in an interview, it's like it was. I'm sorry, it was not even 24 hours after the match, and Higuera calls me to a restaurant, and I'm thinking, he's taking his plans for the next season, and Higuera was basically just telling him like, "Hey, man, thanks, but no thanks."
Damn.
I know, cold blooded, but that's one of the coaches. I mean, we had another coach that disappeared, Travieso Guzman. He was in the mix for a while, and we just don't. I haven't heard of him. And there's a lot of coaches like that, but I do feel that if they truly want to coach, then they should just go wherever they can, and that's why I've always been pro MLS, and I know a lot of our fellow cantineros and a lot of Liga MX, they're anti, but I mean it's a big opportunity, you know. It's and I know they're gonna use the whole the rivalry and whatnot. That doesn't matter. You still see Argentines coaching in Brazilian league or Uruguayan league. You know, at the end of the day, it's work for these guys. So yeah, I do think I know Gonzo. I think there's another Mexican that's out there, but I can't remember his name, Jaime.
Coaching in MLS?
I think so,
I'm not sure.
but I know Gonzo's there because we were talking about some of these players that were getting like UEFA license. So I know Marquez was sort of there, but then he kind of seems to have just given up.
Mm-hmm.
But I
I'm
mean,
looking it up right now.
Gonzo's
We have
Gonzo should be one to keep an eye on.
he's the only Mexican there. Everybody else is from United States. So you have a few different coaches, but yeah, he's the only Mexican coach right now.
Yeah, it could be an assistant, but
Yeah.
regardless, that's something to keep an eye on. And I do think this league, uh, some of the coaches, Mexicans should like be more open to it. They kind of have in the past, the Los Cobos and others that have come over, but um, just because there's not going to be that many opportunities in Liga MX, they will continue to bring in some of these Argentines hoping to land the next Larcamon, man.
A big opportunity for everybody in the MLS except for one player, Jurgen Damm, who ironically uh, is where Gonzo Pineda is coaching Atlanta United, decided to cut him from the team. And of course, with him being a free agent, the media, maybe his own agent, started throwing out some rumors, some smoke, and seeing who would chase those tennis balls. But there was a rumor that he was going to sign with Guadalajara, and then he
Oh yeah.
himself he himself had to go on social media and say, "Hey, like I appreciate these rumors, but yeah, no one's approaching me. I'm training with Atlanta United 2, which is like their USL team." So that's what's currently
Ouch.
going on in Jurgen Damm's career, and it's a Mexican on Mexican crime. You're telling me Pineda, there's no room for him? Come on, man.
Yeah. Well, I think I think because MLS has the salary cap,
Oh,
and
okay.
so I think he's one of the higher paid players. And Gonzo's like, dude, you're not for the highest paid player. You're just not cutting the mustard, and that's a sign of a good coach, man.
And actually, now that you remind me, he was not willing to renegotiate his salary, so that's probably
Oh,
why.
there you go. Yeah.
He's like, "Hey,
Uh,
bro, I took out the Lambo for my TikTok videos. I can't go back to that lifestyle, dog."
he still has payments on the Lambo.
He's like, "I
He
didn't get a
still,
rental like people told me I should have. I actually went for it."
yeah, yeah, man. And that's why there's probably not that many teams offering him anything in Liga
I
MX because they're
mean,
not,
this dude's
his stock
training
just
in
went down.
the second division of, America, so that's it's not looking good for him. But
Yeah, he's gonna have to take a massive wage cut.
I
That will,
I have hope for him because, they were able to give Marco Fabian another opportunity over there at Mazatlan. So, if he can get a
yeah,
job,
but
anybody
you know
can.
what? Yeah, but Marco Fabian probably did it for peanuts, man. He must have said, you know what? And he signed a contract saying that, and I'm guessing here, a contract saying that if he's, showing up to work drunk or missing trainings or whatnot, that they could just, some type of release clause. Because who's gonna wanna take a massive loss?
Yeah.
He's the one that has to prove himself. So, man, I'm pretty sure he's getting peanuts. But that's okay, man. If he's gonna get to play, he's getting that third chance or fourth, whatever it is, to get back. Because I mean, he's a good player. He should not be like this. But of course, he's had his injuries and just bad. He created a bad image for himself.
Yeah, well, he looked really lively in that match against Tigres over the weekend. That was actually one of the matches that I did watch, and very controversial. Tigres Mazatlan. Tigres were up 2-0, and it really seemed like it was going to be an easy victory for them. But Mazatlan came back. Marco Fabian got subbed in. He had a hockey assist in that match, and all of a sudden, man, Mazatlan tied the game up 2-2, and it almost looked like they were going to possibly even win the match. And then there was a controversial penalty call at a very pivotal point in the match, because this is back when Mazatlan had Tigres on the ropes. And of course, Tigres get like a soft penalty call. Gignac puts it away, and it's 3-2. Yeah, it's 3-2. And then Cocolizo scores a fourth goal to make it 4-2. And but Mazatlan kept fighting, got another goal back. So I mean, the final score was 4-3, and Tigres win, but it was a bit unconvincing. And I do feel like Piojo got lucky there, because he's been under the hot seat.
Wait, didn't Marco Fabian score the? He already scored a goal, if I'm not mistaken,
I think it
with
was
Mazatlan. It's a pretty sweet goal.
when Mexico was playing their qualifying matches. I think they had like some friendlies. I think,
Oh, it
yeah.
was a friendly then.
Yeah, because he did score, but it wasn't an official match.
Ah, well, if he already got an assist, that's good.
Yeah,
He's earning his.
yeah. And some other things about Tigres that I thought were interesting. There was a player debut that game, and this dude is being registered as the shortest player in Liga MX. His name is Jefferson Sol- Soteldo, and I was looking into him. He's from Venezuela, and he was actually playing for Toronto. So it makes me wonder if maybe, Tigres and Toronto had sort of like a player swap. We'll send you Salcedo, and in return, you guys get our little midget. Because this dude is 5'2", dog. He's short, bro. He's really short.
Oh, Crazy.
Yeah.
Interesting.
He actually played for Santos in Brazil, so he's got quite a resume, and he looked good for the minutes that he did play there. So I just feel like he's such a small guy; it's kind of hard to
How
defend.
tall is he again?
5'2".
Yeah, that's pretty short, man.
Yeah, him and Gignac were like standing near each other, and I'm like, holy shit, dude, he looks like your son. And it's funny because like Gignac used to play with another short guy at Marseille. I forgot his name, but he was like 5'3". So yeah, I don't know. It's pretty interesting.
I don't know. Must be good, man. Must be. Yeah, 'cause that's very short. Soccer player average height is about 5'8". That's the average height for
Oh,
soccer players.
Mateo Valbuena. There we go. That was the short guy that I used to play with. Yeah, that guy's a five. Wait, 4'11"? Oh shit.
Really?
Yeah, that's crazy. Man, you gotta be good, man. He played for
I
America.
never heard of that guy.
Yeah, I remember him. He kind of like went viral when they showed like photos of him next to like a tall guy. But yeah, he's 4'11". He played for Marseille. He played for Lyon. He's at Olympiacos now.
No.
But
Oh, and he's at a yeah, it's a good club.
Le Petit Vélo, which translates to the little bike. I guess that's what they call him. But we've gone 30 minutes without talking about the elephant in the room. Actually, there's two elephants in the room. The first one, San Luis. San Luis upsetting America on Saturday. They scored 3 goals in that first half, but one of them was disallowed. So it was actually 3-0 at one point, and America ended up scoring 2 goals in stoppage time to make it look, like it was a close game. 3-2 final score, but America lost at home to San Luis, and the fans were not happy.
I know that was my. I was singing high praises for Ame and Solari, and he seemed to be backfiring. I still think he could do good. It's just it's still the start of the season. These things happen a lot of times where you're you're slow to start, or some things are just not firing. But yeah, there's a big group of Americanistas that want him out.
Which is ridiculous, right? I mean, this guy's putting out numbers. I know that, they're not happy with the fact that they've been eliminated in quarterfinals back to back, but have they not forgotten that this is one of the most consistent teams in Mexico? I don't understand why they're starting to turn your back on him.
Yeah, it's these expectations, man, and the media a lot of times they create really high expectations, and as fans we forget that it's a short season, which makes things look worse than they really are. You know, you have less time to do anything really.
So this guy has 47 matches, 26 victories, 10 draws, 11 losses. Very similar results to Puebla's coach. He's averaging 1.87 points per match, and he's gotten America in Liga, obviously. And I guess again the biggest criticism is the fact that they haven't been able to get past the quarterfinal stage in Liga MX, and I believe, if I'm not mistaken, um, in the Champions League, they they only got to semis. So yeah, I'm not sure. I'm not sure what's going on.
Yeah, well, and you know, Ame hasn't really been. You know, usually in the past they would do the big signings. They've been pretty miss with some of them recently. You know, Gio was a dud. They just had to let him go. No one picked him up. Uh, and now they got Jonah, who I don't know. I haven't watched how many games. I don't know what he's been doing, but I know he hasn't been. one of the better players, or as good as he's shown that he can be.
Yeah, I think they thought that he was going to be the coach to take him to the next level, and for him falling short with Liga, especially getting eliminated in the quarterfinals. I think the fans are starting to lose their patience with him. Right now, it's not looking good. 3 matches, no victories, 1 draw, 2 losses. They're in 16th position with 1 point. It's bad when we're doing better than they are. So, I mean, I'm personally enjoying this. So, we'll see. We'll see how short that leash is over there. We've already had one coach get the guillotine this season after 4 matches. So I don't know if he's on the hot seat, and the other coach being on the hot seat is obviously Javier Aguirre. Monterrey flew out to United Arabs to play in the Club World Cup, and in the first round they lost to Al Ali 1-0, and Rayados fans were not happy at all.
No, yeah, there's that big rivalry with Tigres, and being that Tigres recently had that, they made the final. They always want to match or surpass, and so it's embarrassing for them to get booted at the first try.
We wouldn't know anything like that, would we? Chip.
Yeah, and I think just I'm glad you bring it up because it requires good planning. Like say, okay, we're gonna go to this tournament, and and we want to leave a good impression or try to win it, and so you plan for that. Chivas did the opposite. They dismantled the team, and then they brought a new coach. Or
Yeah, they did.
how long had he been there? Had he just come in, or
Cardoso? Yeah, Cardoso
yeah,
was.
or had he just come in? Because Chivas brings coaches at like at like the end of the season. They were bringing them at bad times. Who was Cardoso the guy that took over after?
I'm checking it right now. Let me
I
see.
think he took over after Almeida. So I think he had that one season.
Where are we?
Was it was it after his first season, or was it basically the preseason?
It was, here we go. December 15th, 2018, quarterfinals against the Kashmir Antlers. But he was already at the helm since that summer. So
Okay, so it
six
was like the
months.
preseason, which could have been like, and they had brought in a couple players. And I remember some of the players were mad because they said yeah, it was like they were trying to rebuild the squad, and it's like you can't do both. You're trying to rebuild a team and then playing at a tournament. And I thought that was the whole thing was just poorly executed. And that doesn't just fall on the coach; it falls on the directiva that they have to plan for this. Same with Monterrey because they're if you're going to lose X amount of players for World Cup qualifying, then you have to at least try to postpone Liga MX games or see if you could fly over there with a squad, earlier and just prepare. I think they could have matched well with some of their their alternative players.
Yeah, but I mean, we're talking about Al Ali. No disrespect to them, but come on, man. This is a team that you should be beating.
Yeah, but see that that time zone thing. It's always it's and I'm not trying to make excuses, but it's a big time zone change, and so for you know the whole travel and the going over there, it's always affected Liga MX. Like we've seen it across the board. They just struggle a lot, and a lot of teams we've seen crash out in the first round to leagues that they should be better. leagues that or teams that aren't as strong,
Yeah.
and so it's not like that they don't care. It's a couple things, you know. It's just how you go about it.
You know, you bring up a good point, and I'm looking at this Club World Cup that I'll be honest, no one really cares about. It does It's not a very prestigious cup. It's more just for like the thrills. But I don't
What
agree.
was it basically? Well, just really quick on the cup.
Uh huh.
This was basically the international cup
Uh huh.
that used to be played between the champion of South America and the European. So the Libertadores and the Champions League.
Right.
The champions will go at each other, and then FIFA sort of took over it, and then they did like a mini inviting champions of the like a confederaciones of clubs, and but it's still designed in a way to benefit more the South American and the European teams.
Yeah. And my here's my thing, right? Because it just feels stupid to go interrupt your normally scheduled, league and all that, just to go there and have one game and then that's it. And then I guess they felt bad about doing that, so now like they have a second game, for fifth place. But I think that's stupid. I think what they should have done is make this a two-legged thing, and that way, sure, you might have got me on the first game, but let's it takes a while for you to get acclimated to your surroundings again, the jet lag, whatever. That you can throw all those excuses out the window because you have another go at them. I think it should just be like two legs. I think that first round should be two legs, and I think that would give because that way you're guaranteed two games like you are now, and you feel like, all right, you beat me fair and square. I think that's the way it should be. I think it should be a two-legged in the second round, in the semifinal, and then the final is just like a one and done. Kind of like how they do Champions League. I think that would have been a little bit more fair. Uh,
Yeah, but I think for because I don't think the European clubs want to play that many games. They already have so many games, so I think in their end they don't want to. But I mean, supposedly there was going to be a new format, but I don't know. I don't know what's going on with that.
yeah, Al Ali, who beat Monterrey 1-0, ended up losing today against Palmeiras in the semifinal. So Palmeiras is in the final, and on the other side, we're waiting for the match between Chelsea and Al Hilal. So those are the and Rayados fans were so arrogant and cocky. They were like, "This is we're gonna win this." Chelsea aren't playing well. Palmeiras is a shoe in. That's a top. That one's a layup. Like these dudes were going into like super cocky, and they can't get past the first round, and the fans were very upset. They waited for the team to get on the bus, and they were demanding Aguirre to speak to them and to hear his excuses. And then back in Monterrey, I think they had like coolers with like heads of the players and staff and had their heads chopped off, like, and they were like really upset, and they had like eggs with like I get his face on it. Like, dude, they're just doing the most right now. Like, dude, it's not that serious, man.
To being extra.
But I mean, do you think that Aguirre is also on a short leash?
No, um, I cause that's the one thing about him. He signed like such a massive contract, you know, that he has like the type of contract where it's like it will cost a lot of money to sack him, and part of the reason for that is to guarantee that he's gonna be able to do his job. That he's not getting that treatment like some of these coaches do that they just boot him like 3 games in. So he has that clout where they went to look for him so he could put his conditions. And so yeah, he has that. It's gonna cost him a lot of money. So I think if anything, they would let him finish. They would let him finish the season because you don't bring a coach of his stature just to sack him right away, you know. So I do think they would let him finish the season, and if they feel it's not working out, because the fans have these high expectations, they feel the team should be playing like should be looking like a Champions League squad. Then yeah, I guess the directiva would try to figure something out and part ways. But I don't think Aguirre would get sacked. He would have to be like doing really bad during the league, and I just don't see him doing that either. I think the team might not be as good as they should be, but given how there's Liguilla and whatnot, so I do feel like at the end of it he'll be right there fighting for the for the title.
We'll see. I really can't put my finger on it, but with Reales, they've been underperforming for quite some time. I know they did win the Conca Champions League, but I mean, if you look at this team, they have seleccionados like Luis Romo, Cesar Montes, Gallardo, Funes Mori, Hector Moreno. I mean, this team is like freaking stacked. They have Vincent Johnson, and when I was looking at that match between Al Ali, it only just made me feel so much more relief that we did not end up getting Rodolfo Pizarro, because that guy had a terrible game, and I'm just like, man, I just feel like his time is over, man. Like, I don't know, he really didn't live up to the hype.
He he lost his mojo.
He did lose his mojo, and now he's getting paid fat. So it's like, where's the incentive? Where's the hunger? There is none.
Yeah, and that's what happens with some of these players. I know he had hunger early on when he was at Pachuca, and he fancied himself as one of the players like Chucky that he's gonna go abroad, and that he had the talent to go to Europe. And
Yeah,
it
it
didn't seem
was
like
him, Aguirre, Eric Aguirre, or not Eric Aguirre, Eric Gutierrez, and Chucky. I mean, it was the three amigos. We thought they were all gonna go to Europe.
yeah. So I mean, something similar happened to Marco Fabian because he was the. That's also what started his problems at Chivas, where he felt that he was gonna go abroad and Chivas was holding him back. But just more on Pizarro. So I mean, that's where his mind was. Like he was set on going abroad, and he seen like Chucky make the jump and others, and so he's thinking, okay, it's my turn. But then the big offer comes from Chivas, and I think that's where he had to make that sacrifice, where he should have been like, you know what, I'm not going, because it wasn't just 20, the 18, 17 million, whatever massive transfer. Of course, they offered him like you know massive wages, and he accepted. He could have said, you know what, no, I want to go to Europe, and I don't care if I get paid peanuts, but he didn't. So I knew then, like I remember him signing, and he was talking about, I don't know if he was saying it, but how he still has was said, I'm going abroad, and I'm like, yeah, that's gonna be tough. I mean, because they're not, you know, Euro teams don't rarely pay that much for Mexican talent.
Yeah.
I think the biggest transfers were I think it was oh damn, Raul Jimenez, I think,
Linus is up there
big.
too. Yeah.
But I mean, it's pretty rare. You don't really see these teams paying that much. At least not like rarely double digits. And
Uh,
so I
let's see. Eder Valencia is number one, 16.5
oh yeah, but no, we
million.
need Mexicans though, Mexican talent,
Christian
not South American.
Benitez, Hector
No, no.
Herrera. Jackson Martinez, Aquivaldo Mosquera, Mauro Camar. You know, Mauro is that one's really impressive. Mauro Camoranesi, because that was back in 2001, and that was for 7.7 million. So that was a lot of money back then.
He was he was very interesting because this guy he couldn't he didn't get to play Argentine first division. At
What?
least not no, he was in second division
Oh,
and then Cruz Azul got him.
well,
So he was a
it says he was at Club Atlético Aldovisi, second division in Argentina, and then he went to Santos Laguna. What?
yeah, oh there you go. My bad. He went to Santos then Cruz Azul. Or did he go back to second
He
division
went
and then Cruz
to
Azul?
Wanderers in Uruguay, Banfields, and then he went to Cruz Azul.
There you go. So I mean, he was struggling there for a bit, but I remember seeing him at Cruz Azul, man. That dude was just he was just massive. And then Kievo buys him. Kievo, I don't know if it's Kievo Verona because there's two Kievos, and he had just a great season. And then he ends up at Juventus. Then after that, because he had like he got an Italian passport, he ends up getting called to the to the Italian national team, and he makes it all the way to the World Cup where he wins it.
Yeah, it's interesting how like Argentina has that like Italian tie, you know, because he was born in Argentina.
Well, because they're in the Second World War, I think. There's a lot of immigrants from Italy went to Argentina.
Oh, I see.
They opened the borders, and a lot of them arrived there. So you have a lot of the you see it in the last names. You see it a lot,
Yeah,
and that's also what's made it so easy for them to get the EU passport.
yeah, like the Avala, he's like eligible to play for like law. He was like Polish and
Yeah,
Italian and
yeah,
Argentina. It's like
and they had opened their borders a lot of it was the war. I don't know if they did it during both wars, but I know they did it, and you had a lot of it was mainly Italians that came, but there was Polish and from other um, Germans too. They said there's hidden Nazi gold over there. But you do have names like the defender that played at at Toros Neza, Lusenhoff.
yeah.
So yeah, you have a lot. But yeah, man, it's interesting what we saw with Mauro. I thought he was gonna coach in Mex, but his venture didn't last long, and I don't know what happened to him. Maybe he just didn't care too much to be
If
a
I'm not
coach.
mistaken, he picked up a job at Tulane, but I could be wrong. But I do recall hearing
Oh, so
his.
he went to the broadcasting. I think he did. Was it him? No, it was this guy. He looked homeless, dude. Sorin, I think it was. Was it Sorin? I think it was a dude that played in River Plate, and I remember seeing him one of the World Cups, and he had just like really long hair and a long beard, and he looked like a homeless dude, but like a homeless dude that they when they do like those makeovers and they give him a suit, they just they just hadn't had time to cut his hair.
It makes me wonder how many World Cup winners have played in Liga MX.
That's a good question. I know there's been a few, but that's a good question.
It's a good
It's a good
trivia question.
fun fact. Yes, sir, it is.
We'll throw that out to the listeners if you guys can give us an answer without cheating.
And with Camoranesi, it's trippy because he played before he was a
Before,
World Cup winner.
I guess
So
we
I don't know if that counts.
I guess we can
Bebeto played.
say before, and well, players that have either ended up winning one after or you know.
Well, Bebeto, I know Bebeto won the World Cup, and Bebeto was at
Oh,
Toros Neza,
we
and he didn't really do much. Ronaldinho, of course, he was at Querétaro.
Oh, do you know we have one right now?
Um, yeah, that dude that was he on the bench? I think the French guy from Tigres, right?
That's right, Florin Taubin. Yeah, he's
Yeah,
a
but
World Cup
did he
winner.
even play? Was he was just carrying players' bags? It don't matter.
I mean,
He
he
was
was.
there. La Volpe was a World Cup winner. He was third in line of goalkeeping and in the bench, but he had he got his gold. And you know what he did, which still surprises me. He had the gold from his gold medal World Cup melted, and I think he made watches for the players he took to the World Cup in Mexico for the Mexican team he took to the World Cup in
No
Germany.
way.
Yes, sir.
Wow. Bet he regrets doing that.
No, I don't think so. I don't think so. Yeah, that was one of them, La Volpe. But he has that. He has well had. He melted it. I would never take that off, dude. I would
I
always
know,
carry
dude.
it.
You tripping. Tripping. I would not.
That medal on that
Yeah.
stays with me,
You
dude.
know,
Always.
how many like two or three of the World Cups that Brazil won are like lost or stolen? You know, they found one in a shoebox and the other one was like s- stolen. So yeah, it's out there somewhere.
Well, they didn't keep them back then. So basically, if you won it, you won the World Cup, you had to give it back to FIFA. And I
Oh,
think after the third, then you got to keep it. So Brazil did get a copy, and that was the Jules Rimet Cup.
the one before they redesigned it.
It was, yeah, it's like I think it's Nike, the goddess of victory, holding up, holding up the cup, or holding up like a thing that looks like for the cup. Um, so that's and it's kind of small. So when if you see pictures of Pele, that's the one. I think one of them. Right? I don't think he got to. No, I think the other one what was it '94? Because Brazil won '94. Was that their fourth or fifth?
Well, Brazil has five, right?
Okay, that was their
So
fourth then.
yeah. Um,
Yeah, so the thing, but that I don't know if you get it after the third one, but they
s-
have that the Jules Rimet, and I know it had been stolen, and then supposedly they found it, but I don't know if they found it because it was gold, so they could have just melted. They could have said we found it. Here's another one, but it was stolen. I think it was stolen in Brazil. Um,
yeah. So it says that some disappointing facts about the World Cup. It's probably hollow. You don't get to keep it. It says they take home a cheaper replica. The replica is just gold plated, and they said that the original has been stolen. So in 1983, it was stolen from its display case in Rio de Janeiro, and it believes to have been melted down and sold. Wow.
I got a pretty good memory, dude. I was going off of memory. I know that I think it was stolen in England, and then Pickles the dog or something like that found it. Now I gotta Google Pickles the dog, dude. So,
Oh, it says that it's running out of space. It's estimated that there's only enough space for at most four more winning teams' names to be engraved on the base of the trophy. So that means that it'll be needed to be replaced again. Uh,
oh,
so pretty
I think
interesting.
if Germany wins, they probably get to keep it.
Yeah.
Here it is. Let me read it. Pickles was a black and white collie dog known for his role in filing the stolen Jules Rimet trophy in March 1966. 4 months before the 1966 FIFA World Cup was scheduled to kick off in England.
Wow.
Pickles.
Pickles the
He's
dog. That's some fun trivia.
there's a couple animals tied to football. Remember there was
La
Paul the Octopus?
Octopus, the Oracle, man. That dude did not miss. And after the World Cup, Madrid put him in their museum.
Was he dead?
He ended up passing away, but yeah, he was in their museum
They
for a
put him in the
while.
museum. They had him like like they like
They had a tank for him and everything. Yeah.
yeah. There's a couple animals there that's been tied to the World Cup, real and fake. Uh, the mascot for the US '94
Oh the
striker, the dog.
the
Striker.
dog, yeah.
That's-
And then
but
in
Pickles was real.
98 it was it a gallo?
That's true.
Yeah.
It was the cock.
Yeah. Some pretty cool stuff there. But man, we've covered a lot of drama this week. It just seems like, without fail, there's always something going on in Mexico. Another form of disappointment across the board, with, La Selección, then you got America losing, got Rayados getting kicked out early. But, that's good because it leaves room for new ones, because now you have Puebla who's on top. You have Atlas who are maintaining their dominance.
But there's Liguilla though. If you're an Ame fan,
Right now, they're not even
and
in
even
league
with
yet. They're in 16th position, dog.
I know, but my point of there's Liguilla means you don't have to be in the top. You don't have to be top three to go into Liguilla. You could be, I don't know if it's still at 12. So at the end of the day, they could still go in there, catch heat at the right moment, as you said,
hmm
you know, and run with it and win it. So I do think this they're just being overly harsh with Solari, man. You can't expect to maintain this consistency, and we were talking about it last pod as well. How difficult it is to be consistent for so long, just because other teams always are improving. Um, they're building and improving, and as like we've said it with America right now, it's not like they went out and brought in some top players. And they got Jonah, man. That's like that's not like the America from before. When I grew up, man, they were always bringing in players like Bam Bam Zamorano and El Piojo Lopez, man.
Oh yeah.
So you big named players, dude. And it's just, and now they're going after Jonah, who's almost washed up. And I say that with all due respect. I do think he has talent, but some of these guys seem to just give up sometimes. So I do
Yeah,
think they're being overly critical and overly harsh. But Jaime, I want to mention this right now
sure.
because Bundesliga is thinking of doing a Liguilla.
Oh yeah. Thanks for bringing that up. I almost forgot about
Yes,
that.
and I'm anti Liguilla, but I'm gonna sound like a sellout here, Jaime. I, I think I do think it could work in Germany, and so the reason the Germans want to do it is because they want to, even the playing field. It's basically just Bayern Munich winning all the time, and they know that it's hard to maintain. It's just it gets boring.
And
I guess.
what's crazy about Bayern Munich is like they are so obsessed with winning that it's just never enough for them. They were looking at winning their ninth consecutive, league title and they're still like foaming at the mouth like this is this is not
Dude,
good
nine.
enough.
Yeah, nine, dude. I would not enjoy a league like that. It's
Yeah.
basically everyone's a Bayern fan. Everyone's basically a Munich fan. And any other team just doesn't stand a chance. And I'm pretty sure they're the team with the most money. They got all these big companies tied to them. But Liguilla would even the playing field because it's, just the way the Liguilla is, one bad game and you could be ousted. And that would, and you do as fans, man, you want to be able to to see your team win something or celebrate or have that. And if that's what's gonna take, then I do feel it will be good for them, and why I think in Germany it would work really good is because they have real relegation. Uh, Mexico hasn't had real relegation in like I don't know 30 years maybe.
Hmm.
They porcentaje and all that. That's not. Come on, man. That's not a real relegation. People were crying because they got rid of it, and it's like yeah, it hasn't existed for a long time. When Veracruz gets relegated and then next season they're back up because they bought some other team. That's come on. That's not relegation. When you have a tabla de porcentaje and you could suck for like 3 straight years. That's not sorry. That's not real. The real one is when at the end of the season, if you're in last place, you're getting the fuck out. That's relegation right there, man. That's when you can feel the fire burning your ass. You could be like Chivas and just fucking fuck around for 3 4 years and then be in danger, quotation marks, danger of fucking being relegated. And then after like 2 seasons, you're good. So I'm sorry that people crying over the relegation. It's like it hasn't been real in Liga MX for a long time. But I think if Germany keeps the real one, that makes the tournament still exciting. And then they still have what the 4 teams that go to Champions League. So they have more to play for. You know, the bottom teams are fighting for the no descenso. The top teams, the top what 3 or 4 are fighting for Champions League, and then the three below that for the UEFA. So they're fighting for all these cups and to not get relegated. And then once you get Liguilla, that's to win the league championship. So yeah, and that I really, especially if they keep long season format as opposed to 2 short seasons. But even with them, because they have all those tournaments, I could still see it working.
Yeah, they have the douche Pokal, they have the Champions League, Europa League. So what I do find interesting is Bayern Munich has won the league 30 times, and
Damn.
after that, the next best team is Borussia Dortmund with 5. So I mean, this is a fucking joke, man. Like it's always Bayern Munich, man. They've won every single league there is, and it's just like
Yeah, and they get all the best players, and the only
yeah, and
player
that's
that
another
is
thing. It's
good,
like
they,
when Dortmund was playing really, really good football and they won 2 leagues and they were in the Champions League final, what does Bayern Munich do? They go ahead and just say, "We'll take you, we'll take you, we'll take you." It's like they just wow. It's just it's
which we gotta say, Pavel Pardo and I think was
Osorio.
um, Osorio. Yes, I always confuse Osorio with the other Osorio. Um, dude, winning that Bundesliga. What's it called? Jaime, I've been drinking beer and I'm forgetting stuff. What is
The you talking about what's it
your
called?
championship?
Are you talking about the trophy or are you talking about the
Yeah, their cup. It's called something.
I forget it looks like a fucking saucer.
It looks like a plate where you bring hors d'oeuvres with cheese and different type of meat. Maybe
Yeah.
that's cool. Normally I wouldn't do this, but I just drank a whole bottle. I had a chimay.
Oh, you
Jaime,
had a Chimay.
I gave in and I went to Trader Joe's and I got me a bottle.
Oh, nice. Bundesliga Metterschleichel. It's the championship shield. Yeah, it's the championship shield. It looks like something you would put, chips and dip on.
It is
uh,
a big old plate. Man, this does have 30 of those.
but be like, we can put the hubcaps on a lot of cars.
They can. You just put them on the roof of a house. Um,
Yeah, I wonder if
a
they
lot
do
of
they get a new
silver,
one
dude.
each time, or do they just let them? Yeah, you know what? You guys are gonna win it next year. You guys can
Just
just
keep,
have
dude. That's not running out of. I don't think it's running out of space for
it.
names.
Yeah,
Just
they can just put Bayern's Munich name and then just put a little like slash next to
like
it
a one.
each time they
Yeah,
win, little like check mark, you know. Little tally.
God damn. God damn. Yeah, man. That's something. But I'm hopeful that Bayern does do Liga, and I think
That would shake
these
things up.
Germans, German engineering. I think if they do it right, and then hopefully then my goddamn peoples could take a page from that because I think they could have changed that up a long time ago, but they just seem content not to. But then I think once they see like, oh look how they're doing it, let's try it like that. Um, but I do feel because I do feel like if Liga MX had a better format, it would be more competitive. I always talked about wanting like an FA style cup
Yeah, that'd be
where it's
cool.
like you have even amateur teams
Yeah, you
competing
have
and
Liga
third
Premier.
division
Yeah.
all the way up, and it's like a one off. And I would like a cup like that where it's a one off, and that's one cup to play, and that would be pretty cool. I would like it if Copa MX was treated more with more prestige instead of just making it the way it is now. Which, like I remember when I started watching, and dude, it was at that point the teams didn't care for it anymore, and they would just always send the reserves, and they just eventually they got rid of it, and I'm like, that's fucked up. Like that just sort of.
Yeah, I liked it. I enjoyed it. Chivas won a few of those, and
No, no, but I'm going way back in
oh, you're
time
talking
right
about
here. You're
before.
talking now, man. I'm talking about like '90s, because they kind of got rid of it for a while, and then they brought it back up. But for a while, it was like they almost didn't even. The media almost didn't even mention it. It was almost like, and that's to me, it's been one of the reasons Mexican football is not better than it should be. This depreciation. I don't even know if that's a word. We it's in español, menospreciar. Our own shit. We don't value it as much as we should. Which is the one thing I like about Almeida, even though I've been a huge critic. But man, any cup he played, this team went all out, man. Because that's more from him being Argentine, man.
Yeah,
They have this
one can
winning
even
mentality.
argue.
Any fucking cup, dude. This didn't give a
Yeah.
fuck if it was a fucking Play-Doh cup. He wanted to fucking win it. And if anything that I always valued highly about him was that mentality, dude.
Well, yeah. I mean, he realized that they could win these cups. They were actually like accessible to them. Because the Chivas were never the consistent team in league play, and they haven't been for a long time. Like if you look at all of our
Still,
championship, if you look at our championship runs that we've had, like they haven't been because we were in first place. We were in repechaje when we won in 2006. We were like the last seed, and I think in our last championship in 2017, we were actually in second place because we closed at home, so we were actually higher in the table that time. But for the most part, if Chivas were to go to the long season format, it would be a nightmare for us because we probably wouldn't even have an opportunity to win a title at that point. So Matias was always very good at those knockout stages, with Conca Champions and Copa MX and all that. So
yeah. No, he took all of them serious. Even that one of the Super Copas, and it was against Veracruz, who doesn't even exist anymore. And it was a Veracruz team that had won a Copa MX. That shows you just how bad Copa MX is. And that wasn't even, I think, the same squad that had won it. This probably hadn't been even paid, probably hasn't even been fed. This dude didn't give a fuck. He went, he played him, and he won that Super Cup. And it's big reason why he's so adored by fans. He won all these cups, a lot of them. A lot of them are pretty much Mickey Mouse. And I say Mickey Mouse in the sense that because the other teams don't take him as serious.
Yeah.
Copa MX, when you have the best teams not competing in it, it starts losing prestige because, whatever format they decided to do, and they said, okay, well, the top teams aren't going to compete. And that starts taking away some of the prestige. Um, so, yeah, I do feel that Mexico has a lot, man. I'm going to tell you a joke. So hopefully, I do it justice. Uh, my good friend John told it to me, but I think it's always ringed true to a lot of things Mexico. So there's these two Mexican generals, and they're talking, and one of them says, "You know what? We should attack the U.S." And the other one's like, "What the fuck, dude? You know, that's a crazy idea." And the guy's like, "Well, hear me out, man." He's like, in World War II, after Japan and Germany lost against the US helped them build their economy. And look at them now, they're first world countries. And the other general is like, and what if we win? And that applies today. It's like you don't know what to do with they don't know what to do with what they have, you know?
Yeah.
So it's
Absolutely.
like, what if we win? What if we win? You get it all, man. But
The
it is
mentality
true.
is huge, man.
It is true. So it's one this almost like a fear of winning is there because one thing that we've seen with Mex, they always play better when they're the underdog.
Always.
But when they're like you know the
Favorite.
the, the favorite, they end up struggling, and I do think that's a mental thing, and I do
It's a
think it's
mindset thing.
yeah
It's a culture thing.
cultural too.
It's a culture
And I
thing.
said, look, we ourselves because doing that to all these cups that Mexico had and all these things from the tournament and how they themselves devalued them, they just hurt themselves. Especially when we see how some of these cups started. Champions League started as a cup from the goddamn, what's this French magazine? L'Equipe. It was they're like almost like it was almost like an exhibition type, tournament that they did. Real Madrid took it serious, but it started from a magazine, and so I don't see why. But we see it now, man. Look at fans, and Jaime, I'm about to call you out, you yourself. When we see like these Liga MX MLS cups, you guys are already tearing them down, man. You go full piñata and you just start
It's just
before
part
they
of
even
our
start. You
it's part
start
of our
beating them down,
hate, hate,
huh?
hate, 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 hate. It's just a haters club, man. It's just anything that's proposed to, like, I mean, look at how everybody reacted to the Super League. I mean, that blew everyone's mind, man. You just immediately rejected, and they had to shut it down, bro. Like, people do not want change. I mean, that's the reality.
Well, it's not just not one change, but not valuing what they themselves can bring to the table because they're thinking Libertadores, because they're thinking Boca Juniors and Flamengo and all these big teams, Colo Colo, and they're thinking about them, but they're not putting themselves and saying, fuck it, America, Chivas, Tigres, they're not thinking that. They're thinking, oh, we need these teams to make it so it could be popping. And so it's like, this party's not going to be good unless we invite these people
Right.
instead of saying, we're going to make this party pop because we're right here.
We're the party.
And
Yeah.
yeah, and they should because it's like, dude, it all comes down to money, man. Eventually, if of course I'm saying if this there was a cup between Liga MX and MLS and it started blowing up and getting the ratings, they could invite those teams and they fuck, dude, in a minute they would come
Ah.
over here. They would because
It's
it's
like
like they're
it's
not
like the
getting that
nerds in
money
high
over there.
school. Like, the nerds in high school didn't get invited to any parties, and then now they're like now everybody wants to
Well,
join
yeah,
their
they were
party.
they were working on apps. They were working on that for reading comic books, and now
They're like,
they're
"Wait, you guys are making
writing
money?
comic
Hold on, we want to join this party now. You guys are cool."
it did happen, when comic books used to be, you were a geek, but now it's like, you know, that stuff blew up, and a lot of that stuff that was like geek culture, like comic books and cosplay and all that, just blew up almost overnight. And now you had hot girls dressing up as anime and whatnot, and all the Marvel movies, DC movies making billions of dollars. So now everyone, is in on this. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Stuff like Stranger Things, which was like, you have the kids playing Dungeons and Dragons, and that was like, I played that in high school, man. I used to give me fun of. uh, I, I'm not complaining. I would probably make fun of me too.
Yeah. We'll have to see what
but
happens.
the stuff that was dorky then became cool, and that's what you shouldn't discount, or what they shouldn't discount and think, okay, if it blows up here, if soccer was to blow up in the U.S., because the whole world looks to the U.S., like they have like Super Bowl and NBA or not. So if the sport ever blew up here, dude, especially, and we're talking about influential, so like music, movies, dude, anywhere you go in the world, they're getting all that stuff from the US. Anything that's movies or music, popular culture. So if soccer was ever to blow up right here,
Yeah, but
dude,
the culture has already
dude,
been established though in Europe, man. Like they're the originals, so
it has, but they're right now they're dependent on money. I mean, how many of their teams have been sold out to oil money? How many of their teams are not even owned? They're owned by foreign investors. So they're not even dependent on their own right now.
yeah,
So I mean, I'm just saying, if it were to blow up here, Max already has that front row seat,
yeah,
which is, I think, they're conscious of that, and it's like, why you could even see like a Champions League happening here, because we've seen similar to it, right? It was that I mean, Chivas played it with Thomas Boy. What was it called? International something cup,
yeah.
right?
International
They played
Champions Cup.
Porto, Atletico. Do you have these teams coming here to play? Don't I mean, if there was a cup that was formed, they would eventually. They would, in
Hmm.
one form or another. So that's always a possibility, and I don't think people should discard it. And these things usually take a long time, so it could be 20 years from now.
Yeah, we'll see what happens. Um, I think for now, people don't want to admit that the U.S. is getting better at soccer and that the MLS is, competitive. I think Mexicans and other people, they just continue to discredit them. And, I don't see that ever happening to American culture because unlike American sports, USA is not number one in soccer. And I think that immediately dismisses, the interest, because in the NBA and American football and baseball, they're number one at it. So it's like, they're proud of it. And I think Americans can't stand the fact that, they're not good at soccer and you have poor countries that have won it, in their eyes.
But they are hosting, so I think a good run can light that fire in their ass.
Yeah.
Maybe even like a semifinal appearance can ignite that. Because think, even at one point in Mexico, soccer was not the main sport. You had wrestling, you had bullfighting, boxing, baseball, and a lot of these sports were bigger. Mexico did host two World Cups, and eventually it did become the main sport of the country. But it wasn't at one point. It wasn't.
Yeah, for sure. I do want to point out a little bit of news before we end tonight's show. it seems like Grupo Orlegui is looking to buy Real Zaragoza, 51% of it.
Oh,
And
damn.
they had interviewed what's his name? The guy from Grupo Orlegui, and that was one of the goals was to get a European team.
Yes.
So Real Zaragoza right now are in the second division and they're in 18th position. So seems like uh seems like something that could
Wow.
realistically happen.
That's always been their goal, Mijaime, and I've said it before. I think they're gonna abandon Santos, but I think they're gonna leave them in a good place, way better place than they were before. But I don't think they're going to, you know, they're gonna put all their eggs in that basket. I do think they moved on to Atlas, and Atlas just is just being massive. And I think if Atlas can have that success as Santos, that's gonna be their flagship team. And if they do manage to acquire Zaragoza, eventually that will become their team. And I could see the other teams being feeder clubs where they bring in South Americans and other top Mexicans, and if those players are good, they could, you know, send them over to Zaragoza. And I do think, I hope he's successful, man, because it would be good for Mexican football.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how that happens. Fun facts: uh, Ronaldo owns Real Valladolid, not the Portuguese, but the Brazilian Ronaldo.
Oh,
Yeah,
el
and
fenómeno.
El Fenomeno. Yeah, he owns Valladolid.
I did not know that.
Yeah, pretty cool. They do have a show about it on the Zone.
Are they in? Are they in first or second division? I know there
Well,
was a team that was
they
flip
got
flop between.
relegated, so they're in the second division now.
Okay, they've been back and forth.
Yeah, so it's pretty interesting, but he's over there doing his thing, and uh, we no longer have Nacho Ambriz over there at Huesca, so. But we do have more and more Mexicans playing in La Liga. You have Tecatito Corona, and you have Orbelin Pineda, who just joined Nestor Araujo over there. So I've always personally felt that more Mexicans should play in Spanish league. It's an easier transition. They know the language. Um, so I mean, I've always been a fan of that league.
Yeah, I think sometimes some players adapt. There's others like what's this dude's name?
Barrera,
No,
Aquino,
Tigres. Aquino, man, this guy just couldn't do it. Um, I think some dudes. No, I do because I agree with you. It should be the easy place to adapt because of the language. But there's just some guys that just can't be away from home because they probably were never away from home, and they just can't adapt to food or different, just missing their family or friends. So mental aspect, I guess, is at that point. It's like a mental thing.
for sure. Well, we're about the hour and 30-minute mark. Do you have any closing thoughts before we wrap up episode 322?
Ah man, yes, yes. Good luck to Jimmy Lozano. I wish him well. Hope he does good at Necaxa. We need more Mexican coaches. So on that note, same. I hope Gonzo does good because I want to see. Again, there should be way more. There's like what, two or three in Liga MX. That's a goddamn shame.
Yeah,
Um, I hope that Orlegi acquires a Spanish team and that they're successful because again, that opens doors. Um, and that's what we want to see, you know. And I hope JJ Mack has a good run because I think he had a massive bad luck in his venture to Europe between his injury and whatnot. But I think he could be a good use to Chivas. If he could if he could just get to his old form between him and Alexis, I think they could make shit happen. And for my America brethren, man, you guys are overreacting.
Yeah,
You
take a
need to
chill
be on
pill.
the Chivas boat for a while. Try missing Liguilla 5 times in a row.
Yeah, for real.
But I do think Solari, he's a decent coach. He's done a lot of good. I think if you give him enough time, he'll have the team competing. But you can't just put all the blame on the coach. You have to also see the directiva and if they haven't been bringing in better players. And we saw just recently how there was criticism on Santiago Baños, and that got shut down pretty quick,
Oh yeah.
right? They made these guys apologize, and one of them ended up quitting because he got punked. If you can't say what you feel, why work there? And so, but I do think can't just blame the coach. Directiva is, they're there to try to help the coach, and if they're not bringing in players that are going to fit his system, then you're just handicapping him. So I do think have a bit more faith in that dude, and that's it. Jaime.
Yeah, it's been a great night. Um, we have Juarez and Chivas making up the match from Saturday tomorrow at 5 p.m. So we already have Liga MX going on. And then match week 5 will start on Friday with Mazatlan and Tijuana. So we got plenty of football this weekend. I want to thank everyone for supporting us. And let us know the trivia question for tonight. How many future or World Cup winners have played in Liga MX? I'm actually curious to know myself. But thanks, everyone, and we'll catch you next week.